Welcome to Flashback Snaps. Today we're diving into the reign of one of Rome's most infamous emperors, Gaius Caesar Augustus Germanicus, better known as Caligula. Born on the 31st of August AD 12, Caligula was the son of the esteemed general Germanicus and Agrippina the elder, making him a member of Rome's first ruling family. He rose to power in AD 37 following the death of Emperor Tiberius. In this video today, we'll explore four of the most controversial actions of Caligula's reign that have cemented his legacy as one of history's most notorious rulers. From declaring himself a living god to his extravagant spending, tumultuous relationship with the Senate, and reign of excess and infamy, will uncover the truths and myths behind these stories. Now imagine waking up one day and deciding that you're not just any regular emperor, but a living god. Well, that's exactly what Caligula did. Not content with mere mortal adulation, he began dressing up as various gods during public appearances, complete with elaborate costumes that would make a Hollywood costume designer blush. Think of it as ancient Rome's version of Comic-Con, but with a lot more ego. The reaction from the public was a mix of confusion, awe, and sheer disbelief. Some people thought it was a joke. After all, who goes around insisting they're a god? But no, Caligula was dead serious. Suetonius, a commentator, tells us that Caligula would even chat with statues of Jupiter, asking them for advice. It's one thing to talk to yourself, but holding a conversation with a statue, that's on a whole new different level. Now, this move did not sit well with the Senate, who were already feeling sidelined by Caligula's growing autocracy. Now, imagine being a seasoned senator and your boss is now not only claiming to be your political leader, but also your divine overseer. Dio Cassius notes that Caligula demanded worship and set up statues of himself in temples, effectively turning places of worship into his own personal fan clubs. The senators saw this as a direct attack on their authority and the traditions of Roman religion. But why stop at divine cosplay? Caligula took it a step further, demanding that his image be placed in every temple. The guy was everywhere, even in the most sacred spots. It's like your boss insisted on having their portrait in every room of your house. The Senate's patience was wearing thin, and Caligula's god complex was just one of the many reasons they would eventually conspire against him. Now, if there's one thing Caligula knew how to do, it was to spend money. Lots of it. Forget a modest budget, this emperor went full on. Lifestyles of the rich and famous, with his extravagant projects, from aqueducts like the Aqua Claudia and Anio Novus to massive ships that were essentially floating palaces. Caligula's spending habits made even the wealthiest Romans gasp. But as anyone with a credit card knows, living beyond your means comes at a price. Caligula's lavish lifestyle quickly drained the Roman treasury, leading to a severe financial crisis. It wasn't just construction projects. Caligula also threw extravagant games and parties that would put modern-day festivals to shame. Suetonius tells us that he once had a banquet where the food was sprinkled with gold dust. Talk about a golden touch. To finance his opulent lifestyle, Caligula imposed heavy taxes and confiscated properties from wealthy Romans. Imagine getting a knock on the door only to find out that your house now belongs to the emperor because he decided he needed a bit more cash for his next big project. The people of Rome were understandably upset. You can almost hear the collective groan as Caligula introduced new taxes on everything from food to legal documents. even the wealthy found themselves squeezed dry. Caligula's methods for raising funds became increasingly desperate and bizarre. He auctioned off lives of gladiators, forced the sale of his guests' possessions at parties, and even levied a tax on prostitutes. The financial strain was palpable, and Caligula's reputation for fiscal irresponsibility only fueled the growing unrest amongst his subjects. Now, if you thought declaring himself a god was over the top, wait until you hear about Caligula's relationship with the Senate. It was a classic case of power gone to one's head. Caligula delighted in humiliating the senators, often in the most creative ways. One of the most infamous acts was proposing his horse Incitatus for the position of consul. Yes, you heard that right. Caligula's horse was up for a top government job. Of course, this wasn't just any horse. Incitatus lived in luxury that rivaled even the most privileged Romans. Suetonius tells us that Incitatus had a marble stall, an ivory manger, and even a house with a staff of servants. Caligula's dinner parties included his beloved horse, who was fed oats mixed with gold flakes. This wasn't just eccentricity, it was a deliberate slap in the face of the Roman Senate. Now, the Senate naturally was not amused. It's one thing to serve under an emperor, it's another thing to be potentially outranked by his pet. Caligula's antics with Incitatus highlighted his utter contempt for the Senate and their traditions. Dio Cassius records that these actions were part of Caligula's broader strategy to undermine and ridicule the Senate, asserting his absolute power. But the horse wasn't the only point of contention. Caligula's entire approach to governance was erratic and authoritarian. He bypassed the Senate on key decisions, flaunted his power, and subjected senators to public trials and executions. The atmosphere in the Senate was one of fear and resentment. By making a mockery of their roles and traditions, Caligula sowed the seeds of his own downfall as his actions pushed the Senate towards rebellion. Caligula's reign was a wild ride of excess and infamy, filled with tales of extreme cruelty, debauchery, and just plain bizarre behavior. Let's start with the cruelty. Caligula was infamous for his sadistic pleasures. Suetonius recounts how he once ordered a section of the audience at a gladiatorial show to be thrown into the arena because there were no more prisoners to fight. Imagine going to watch a sports game and ending up as part of the action. It's absolutely terrifying. But it wasn't just public spectacles where Caligula's cruelty showed. He was known to enjoy torturing his enemies and even his own allies. It is said that he reveled in the pains, seeing it as a testament to his power. This was a man who once declared, "Let them hate me so as long as they fear me." Clearly, he took the concept of ruling with an iron fist to heart. Then there were the excesses. Caligula's personal life was a parade of hedonism. He threw lavish parties where wine flowed like water and decadence was the order of the day. His palace was a playground of luxury filled with treasures that would make even the wealthiest blush. Yet it wasn't just the material excess. Caligula's personal relationships were equally scandalous. Rumors of incest with his sisters, particularly Drusilla, were rampant. Ancient historians like Dio Cassius and Suetonius delight in these sordid tales, though they lack the definitive proof. Whether or not these stories were true, they certainly added to Caligula's notorious reputation. His actions and rumored perversions painted a picture of an emperor utterly consumed by his own desires and power. Caligula's reign of excess and infamy didn't just shock his contemporaries, it left a lasting legacy of notoriety. His name became synonymous with madness and tyranny. Even today, Caligula remains a symbol of how absolute power can corrupt absolutely. leaving us with lessons on the dangers of unchecked authority. In conclusion, Caligula's reign was a period of dramatic contrast, marked by initial popularity and subsequent descent into tyranny. His self-deification, extravagant spending, hostile relationship with the Senate, and reign of excess and infamy not only strained Rome's political and financial stability, but also shaped the enduring legacy as a symbol of excess and madness. As we reflect on Caligula's controversial actions, it's essential to consider the context and motivations behind his behavior. While many historical accounts paint him as a mad tyrant, modern interpretations suggest a more complex figure struggling with immense pressures. Now, we'd love to hear from you. What do you think is the most controversial story about Caligula? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to our channel for more historical deep dives, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Also, let us know which historical figures you'd like us to explore next. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.